next question comes from Joel at Breitbart. Joel, please unmute yourself.
Thanks, Governor. Two questions. I'm on the website right now and I see the results in terms of housing, homelessness, behavioral health. I don't see the money spent in each county. How can we hold the government accountable if we don't know what is actually being spent to achieve these results? And then a second question, do you think it is appropriate to sign $50 million of spending to fight the Trump administration while also asking the federal government for $40 billion in fire relief aid?
The answer is
I
no.
wouldn't frame the question as you framed it. The state of California, as you know, prepared many, many months ago for a new administration to protect and preserve our policies, our progress, and programs that the Trump administration is directly looking to deviate from. This is well-treaded territory. We were involved. I wasn't as governor. I served 2 years under the Trump administration, or with President Trump. Governor Brown served 2 years with President Trump. Over that 4-year period, there were 122 lawsuits. So there was some expectation that many similar efforts from the original Trump term would be replicated in his second term. And the whole point of putting $25 million up to the Department of Justice, our state Department of Justice, was to prepare for that. High-speed rail, perfect example. And in so many ways, we were prescient in that respect in terms of putting those funds up in anticipation of the efforts happening in the second Trump administration that happened in the...
Let me just pause it real quick. First of all, California does not need a high-speed rail. Just does not. Just gonna have a bunch of bums riding the rails whenever it gets cold outside.
First Trump administration. As it relates to the additional 25 million, that is not specific to Trump. It's about protecting people's rights. It's about getting people to get the kind of private support they need from nonprofits and other local organizations to address their anxieties and fears. And that was done in council and partnership with the legislature. Now, on the specific issue of money spent, money obligated, you'll look on that site. It does reference the money spent, money obligated, but I also made a point earlier. This is an iterative process. We're just rolling out the top line, and we're going to break down with more specificity, more detail, a lot of that information along the lines that you wisely and appropriately recognize or certainly reflect in your question. And I should note, there's so many data.
Well, you have no choice because, I mean, with Doge sitting right there, I mean, and everybody just asking for accountability, you're going to have to put out the accountability.
Based data sources on that and audits that have been done locally, regionally, statewide, et cetera. And so we've got to just square all of that, and we'll provide that information, and we'll be updating the site with much more detailed and nuanced information. Final point, though, the source information in this site, on this site, the original source information also provides a lot more detail in that respect. But we're just trying to clear that up and make it easily readable and ultimately machine readable so that it populates itself without the kind of manual inputs that required today.
All right. What's the latest and greatest? Welcome to Real News Podcast. So get ready for this one because what's happening out in California would just make your jaw drop. Now, Gavin Newsom, the guy who runs the so-called Golden State, he has a lot of nerve right now. Particularly, he's practically begging Congress for an astronomical, $39.6 billion to help deal with the aftermath of the devastating Los Angeles fires. Now, nearly $40 billion in federal disaster aid money is what he's looking for. Now, here's the part that just mind-blowing, right? California always struts around bragging about the massive budget surplus it has, acting like it. But when things go south, Newsom is the first one in line with his hand out, asking for help like he's a broke kid looking for lunch money. Seems a bit hypocritical. But it gets even better, or worse, depending on how you see it. While Newsom is asking for billions of dollars from the federal government, California is burning through about $31 billion a year on illegal immigrants. Just let that sink in for a moment. $31 billion. That's coming directly from the taxpayers. Like you, like me, going to the folks who aren't even supposed to be in this country. And yet the disaster strikes. Good old Gavin Newsom here doesn't blink an eye before asking for even more federal cash. Now let's be real. This isn't about kindness or compassion. It's about having some common sense. You can't cry broke and plead for handouts and then, already blowing billions of dollars on sanctuary cities and benefits for illegal immigrants while hardworking citizens are struggling just to make ends meet. This isn't about being kind or helping those in need. This is about common sense. If you're spending billions of dollars on sanctuary cities and giving handouts to illegal immigrants, you can't turn around and cry poverty. What about the hardworking American citizens who are struggling to put food on the table, to keep a roof over their head, pay their medical bills? They deserve the help first and foremost. And don't even get me started on, Gavin Newsom's lame excuses about fighting the Trump administration. Hold on, I'm gonna get to one more video real quick. Hold on. Check this out.
Newsom has asked Congress to approve nearly $40 billion in federal aid to help Los Angeles recover from the wildfires. The governor saying LA is one of the most economically productive places on the globe, but it can only rebound and flourish with support from the federal government.
Blake Jones is the co-author of Politico's California Playbook, and he joins us once again. Nice to have you with us, Blake. Let's talk about the $40 billion. It sounds like a hefty price tag, but estimates peg the economic loss of the fires at over $250 billion. So where does this $40 billion figure come from, and what would it be used for?
Right. As you alluded to, this is expected to be one of the costliest natural disasters in the country's history. The $40 billion mark only indicates an initial assessment of where state and local officials, think they're going to need help. They even said in their request to Congress that they're expecting additional requests to come forward in the future. But this first round, the bulk of it, about $16 billion, this largest sum would go towards some of these emergency response efforts that, first responders have had to carry out with debris removal and, purchasing emergency equipment. And it would help reimburse the local and state governments for some of that. But other portions of money would go toward loans for small businesses, billions of dollars to help businesses rebuild their brick and mortar locations, and some housing efforts too.
Blake, in his letter, Newsom wrote, "Make no mistake, Los Angeles will use this money wisely." As the debate rages over conditions for the money, what do you think that line says about the governor's headspace?
It says that the governor is feeling the pressure from Republicans on the Hill, and especially from President Trump, who has threatened to withhold disaster aid if the money isn't spent in, a way that is in accordance with his vision. And I think it shows that Newsom is trying to kind of buddy up to Trump, and he has been since the Los Angeles fires started, and, be a little bit more peaceful in his rhetoric, and, in order to secure this money for his home state.
Meanwhile, President Trump's special envoy, Rick Grinnell, who has hinted at a run for California governor, spoke to one of your Politico colleagues over the weekend at CPAC, and he said that he...
All right. I'm just going to pause it there. All right. Now, he wants us to believe that defending sanctuary city policies, which are illegal, by the way, because they're going against federal immigration laws. That's why they're illegal. Now, it's a good it's a good reason to waste millions of dollars in legal fees. Why? And let's not forget about the legal nonsense Gavin Newsom tries to justify. This guy has the gall to act like it's perfectly fine to spend millions of dollars in taxpayer money fighting the Trump administration to protect his sanctuary city policies, which, by the way, like I said, are blatantly against federal law. It's illegal. And that's one thing that the Trump administration is trying to prevent. You know, it doesn't want this guy to just get the money and then you're still paying for sanctuary cities. You're still paying for illegal immigrants to get Medicaid. You're still paying illegal immigrants for food when they shouldn't even be in the country in the first place. But Newsom still burns through the budget, defending these same policies. How does that make any sense? You know, just meanwhile, the people who actually pay taxes in California are just literally left hanging, watching their hard-earned money get funneled through the circus while they're stuck dealing with the homelessness, the crumbling infrastructure, and you know, the wildfires that are still going on, you know, that apparently that the state can't afford to fully handle without federal assistance. Give me a break, man. Here's the bottom line. Gavin Newsom needs to get his act together and focus on the people who actually live in California legally. The taxpayers who make that state run. If California stopped wasting billions on illegal immigrants and sanctuary city nonsense, maybe they wouldn't be just be begging for nearly $40 billion from Congress every time a disaster happens. Now, supposedly, they said, what, most of the money is going to go to corporations to build back their brick and mortar stores? I'm pretty sure all the stores over there, or at least if you're in California, you're going to need fire insurance. That's for damn sure. Now, it's not rocket science. It's prioritize the legal residents. Stop protecting lawbreakers and start protecting taxpayers. Until then, Congress should take Newsom's $39.6 billion request and send it right back to him with a big fat no on it. Let him figure it out and clean up his own mess in his own backyard instead of asking everyone else to split the bill. Don't make the rest of the country pay for California's bad decisions. Drop your comments below, hit the thumbs up, and make sure you subscribe because we're just getting started. Until next time, stay sharp, stay smart, and I'll see you in the next one.